This screencast lecture introduces our discussion of acceptance doctrine. In our graphical map of the course, an acceptance is the second and final stage in the process of contract formation. Remember that finding an offer turned on whether the purported offeror intended to give the power to create a contract by accepting. Acceptance is all about exercising the power that an offer creates. In our principal case, Evertite Roofing Corp. Against Green, the contract provided that the agreement would become binding with written acceptance by an authorized officer of the contractor, or upon commencing performance of the work. The court holds that the contractor began performance by loading the materials on its trucks. The contract was formed then, and thus the Greens can't revoke it when the workmen showed up at their house. You may have noticed that Louisiana retains some French influence not only in its cuisine but also in the state's civil code. Unlike common law jurisdictions, contract law is comprehensively codified. As you can see in some of these sections, the civil code is often quite intricate but doesn't always shed much light on the case. I'd also call your attention to the ridiculous redundancy in paragraph 15 of the court's opinion. They say the decision is annulled, avoided, reversed, and set aside. Any one of those words would have been quite sufficient. So here are three questions that go to the heart of the decision in Evertite. First, who made the offer in this case? Second, what was the key fact about what happened here? And finally, what familiar policy argument supports the court's decision? Please pause the video now to write out your answers to these questions. Okay, so here are the questions again. Who did make the offer? Well, it was the Greens on a form provided by Evertite. And what was the key fact in the case? I'd say it was the unjustified delay. The court emphasizes the fact that the Greens could have, but chose not to communicate their desire to revoke the offer at any time before the performance began. You can see paragraph 7 of the court's opinion for this discussion. Finally, what familiar policy argument supports the court's decision? Well, it makes sense to impose the obligation of preventing misunderstanding on the party best able to do so. Here, the court finds that the Greens could easily have taken precautions to prevent the misunderstanding, and Evertite proceeded diligently. I'd say comparative advantage analysis strikes again. There's one last peculiarity about this case that it's worth noting here. The written agreement said that it was not subject to cancellation. That's in paragraph 2 in the block quote. It probably makes some sense to hold that the Greens' offer should be held open for a reasonable time so that the roofing company can complete the credit check and obtain financing. So maybe the Greens shouldn't be able to revoke, even if they do call Evertite. But a closer reading reveals that it is the contract, rather than the offer, that's not subject to cancellation. Unsurprisingly, the code provision in Article 1809 that's quoted in paragraph 10 of the court's opinion is ambiguous between whether it's unrevocable or just unrevoked. As we'll see very soon, a firm offer that can't be revoked for some period of time is quite valuable. We shouldn't infer such an offer lightly. I say the Greens should be able to withdraw any unaccepted offer. For more on the subject of contract acceptance, be sure to listen to my screencast lectures on formal closings and on the mailbox rule. Thanks for listening.